Hey folks, and welcome to my latest video where I'm going to show you how to change the battery in an Omega Speedmaster X33 and then how to set the time and the hands correctly after you've done that. So the first step I recommend when you're doing this procedure is to undo one end of the bracelet. That will make it a lot easier to work on the back of the watch, and that's fairly straightforward, just to ping the spring bar out with a small screwdriver. So the battery you're going to need for this replacement is a CR2320, and to get to the battery on the case back you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tiny little screws around the outside of this this cover here. I've actually undone them all already because it's a bit boring watching somebody undo screws. The next step, once you've undone them all, and this is my little tip, is to lift the back off by these slots, and then place this on top of something which has still got all the screws inside it. Just place it on top of that so that you don't have to fish about with all the screws and put them all back in. Now I would suggest, if you're attempting this procedure in microgravity, that you have a bit of blue tack or a bit of tape or something and actually attach the screws to that, because you don't want them floating around and getting sucked into the air conditioning ducts. So underneath that cover, and that cover there is actually these holes go all the way through, so that doesn't offer any sort of dust or water protection. That's actually offered by this cover that's underneath it, and that's not held in place at all. It just falls out like that. There is a rubber seal just around the inside which forms the waterproof seal, and there's the battery. So just make out there, this one's a Renata CR2320, and there's a little slot just here which enables you to ping the battery out. Oops, doing it the wrong hand. Turn it around so you can see me do it better. So 2320, that's because it's 20mm in diameter and 2.3mm thick. So with the battery out like that, imagine you've got your new one. This is the same battery obviously, and just pop that back in, push it against the gold contact there, and then just gently but firmly push it in until it clicks and goes flat. So that's the battery back in, and what's happened there, the time has, or the digital time, you'll notice, has set itself to 12, but the hands are still at the time it was before, 9:30. So I'm going to show you, once I've got the back on, how to reset those. So the next step is just to get the dust cap on. Make sure that's centrally located. You don't want that to be slightly out or you'll lose your dust and waterproofing. And then carefully reposition this case back on with the screws lined up with the screw holes. And then it's going to be a case of tightening up those screws with the right screwdriver, and that's the key thing here, is the right screwdriver. So you need a very, very fine tip screwdriver indeed. This is a proper watchmaker screwdriver which can be sharpened to the required thickness, because they are very narrow slots, but you do need quite a bit of force. So this particular screwdriver's got quite a, I'm not sure if you can really see it there, but it narrows quite rapidly towards the end there, which gives it a bit more strength while it's still thin. Anyway, I'm just going to screw those up. I won't show all of them being done because it will take a little while and you might get bored, but I'm sure you get the idea. So I've screwed all the screws back in. I've also reattached the bracelet there. One tip about lining up the case back: there's 2 screws by the crown and only 1 screw opposite. There's not actually 10 screws, there's 9 screws. So that's the way you can see, if you've got the horse the right way up, that will line up anyway. But yeah, 2 screws closer together there for the crown. And you want to be really careful with the screwdriver, because this is a titanium case and screws. They're not magnetic, so you can't pick them up with a screwdriver. It must be very difficult indeed to do this in microgravity. My admiration to the people who've done it, and I know I have seen a video of somebody doing it. Anyway, so now it's showing the digital time, which it's taken me about 15 minutes to put all the watch back together again, and that's wrong, and B, it doesn't match the hands. So to set that, you pull out the crown, and it says go on, and you press this button here. Then it asks you to set the seconds first. I'll just refer to my other digital LCD Speedmaster. Go up and down, backwards and forwards. I'll set it to a 30, and then I'll just have to wait to set it off. So you set the seconds, and then P1 again, and then you set the minutes, and it's 47 according to that one. And again, you can go backwards and forwards. I'm just about as other way. You can do the minutes quite quickly, and you can see the minute hand is moving back as well. Actually, I've set 49. Jump 2 there. And then P1 again to set the hours. And you've got to wait for the minute hand to sweep round each time before you can advance it. So I'm going to be setting it to 21:49, and by the time I finish doing that, it should just about be 21:49, 30 seconds. So yeah, you basically want to set it just a little bit ahead of what the current time is, and then you just wait for the current time to catch up, and when it does, you just press that button in, and the seconds will start incrementing there. Oops. So the next step is to set the hands to be aligned to the digital time. And to do that, you've got to press and hold the P4 button here until the time display disappears, and then again pull the crown out, and when it says go on, go yes, and then this appears hand S, so that's second hand. So it's saying, right, align the second hand with the digital seconds, and you press this P2 button here to do that, and you can see that the second hand moves around. You can see that the digital seconds have actually stopped, so you don't have to try and chase it around. You just synchronise them here. The time is advancing in the background, and then when you set it, it'll all catch up and be in sync. So I just need to set that to 59, and then P1 again, and it says hand M, so that's hand minutes, and this minute hand actually moves twice every minute. So I want to make it 51:59, so I'm going to need to take it to 51.5 basically. So I'll hold that in until I get near the 50. That's 50, 50.5. So that when it goes to, yeah, it's past 30 seconds, isn't it? So it needs to be at the half mark. And then you press the P1 again, and it says hand hour, so I just need to set the hour hand. And it of course moves the minute hand at the same time. So yeah, that's about right, isn't it? 21:51. And then you just press the button in, and everything catches up where it should be. So the seconds are now, they've caught up. And then you'll need to set the date as well. And that's a very similar operation. You can pull the crown out, it says go on, yes. You set the year. Can you hold that down? Yes, you can. 15, 16, and then the month, 6th, and the day, it's the 22nd. So that's set the date. So the next step is to set UTC, and because I've set the date, it already knows the day number of the year. And again, you can pull the crown out, and it will ask you to set the seconds. Now the seconds on mine I think are okay, because when I set the main time, so go on, so I can ignore the seconds, set the minutes. Set that to 57 actually, I need to set it to. Oh no, 56. It's still counting up the seconds, isn't it? What happens when it gets to knock over? It does, that's good. And then the hour, I just need to set it Can you set it one back that way? Yes, you can. But I need to set it forward, don't I? 'Cause it's actually 20:57. And then press the button back in, and I've set my UTC as well now. So that's all the main time functions reset. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this, and it's nothing to be frightened of. It's not rocket science, is it? But if you do happen to work for NASA, it would make my year if an astronaut were to watch my video and find it helpful and post a message. That really would be great. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching, and see you soon.